switch seats? I don't know how to. Let's just switch.
It looks like it's a little high.
Are they the same?
Cassandra was like, I'll take care of it.
Oh, the mine. Sure.
Everything's clear. Okay. Yeah. About the new to keep give us an update on how to. Oh, the deal is happening. Okay. So I was asking them if it's confidential. I couldn't see any other companies. That's all the movie. Or was I missing something? On the tabulation, usually we get a tabulation, it's a list. And I said, I just saw the skipper. Or did I read it? Yeah, that's the one I looked at, but I couldn't see anyone. This is, yeah. That's a personal one.
You were having freezing.
Call this meeting to order. I see we have a quorum tonight. Can we get an approval of the agenda for our work session, please?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda for the work session as
I
printed.
second.
Okay, all in favor with a show of hands? Okay. We're going to welcome Jamie Wilson, the Chief of Staff tonight, who is keeping us all in order in Dr. Brown's absence. He's in a meeting tonight out of town. So, we're going to start our evening with the Pete Taylor Award presentation with Colonel Richardson and Colonel Ledford.
Good evening, Madam President, Ms. Wilson, and board members. Tonight, we are honored to have Colonel Richardson here to present the Pete Taylor Partnership Award. Now, Madam Chair, the Pete Taylor Partnership of Excellence Award recognizes successful partnerships and projects that ultimately benefit military-connected children. The Military Child Education Coalition presents well-deserved awards in recognition to outstanding schools, installations, and individual program achievements at the annual MCEC Global Summit. Now, at this time, we'll go ahead and play a quick video, and then we'll have Colonel Richardson come up along with our military liaison to present the award, and then we'll have a group photo.
Okay.
Not just for our children, but the
and then we'll have our photo. Colonel Richardson.
Hey, good evening. I'm Catherine Ganser, one of the school liaisons at Maxwell Air Force Base, and this is Colonel Richardson, our wing commander. Just came on in July at our base. And we would like to present the Pete Taylor Award. Ms. Jones actually said a lot about the award. The River Region Partnership involves the school districts in our community, as well as our Chamber of Commerce, Civil Air Patrol, and several other organizations that come together and help our community support our military connected children and to build on education in our river region for all kids as well. So, Madam President, we'd like to bring you forward along with the rest of the board members. And we would like to present you with the Pete Taylor Award that was presented at the MSEC Summit in July. We also had 2 of your MPS members at the MSEC Summit. Ty Harold at Blunt Elementary was there, as well as Ms. Lizette Erschrick was attending at the MSEC Summit this past year. So, please come forward.
If I could, before we do that, just say a couple words. It's an honor to be here. I think partnership is 100% the right word. I grew up in the Air Force. My father was a fighter pilot. My move here this July was my 27th move in 46 years of life. My family's on their 7th move in 9 years. I've got a high schooler, a senior, who's meeting his senior class that he's going to graduate for the first time, a 7th grader, and then a 3rd grader. While moving and volatility is not unique to the military community, the choice of doing so often is. And so when we get the opportunity to partner with outstanding school districts such as yourself and just work to improve not only for the Maxwell families, but to the degree we can contribute to the broader community, that's what we're going to do. And so it's an honor to be the commander of Maxwell Gunner and be a partner here with this. So congratulations on this award, and I look forward to continuing the partnership.
We so appreciate the working with Maxwell and Gunner. We really appreciate you guys for all you do for us, and hopefully we will do wonderful things in the future too. Next up, Jade, unless you have something else, Glenn Slater. We have an update on Folkert.
Madam Chair, board members, Ms. Williams, thank you for having me. Here to provide the October update of the capital improvement program. I'd also like to reintroduce part of my team that's here with me tonight. Y'all will stand up. Got Pate Czar, Alicia Phillips, Laura Penn, and Tania Johns. This is part of our management team that's helping put this together. I think 2 or 3 slides. That's good. Okay.
Okay.
Our Highland Gardens project is the schematic design has been completed, and we've moved into the design development phase. Blunt Elementary School is the design development should be submitted by the end of this week, and Halcyon, the design development has been submitted and approved. The Baldwin Middle at Wilson, again, the initial site visit has started, and the base drawings are still underway. The Carver Elementary Gymnasium is moving right along into design development. Carver High School, the 9th grade academy and field house additions. The schematic design has been submitted to the DCM, and I've got a little bit of the floor plan to show you later on in the presentation. Jeff Davis High, the schematic design has been submitted, and the design development phase is expected to be done by the end of October. South Lawn Middle School is moving right along as well. The schematic design has been submitted, and the survey has actually been completed now. Flowers Elementary School, the schematic design has been submitted, and moving on into the design development phase. Have a few drawings of that later on in the program in it as well. I'll catch up with you. The Park Crossing High School project, the design started last week, and the surveyor's working on it as well. Children's Center, we should have the design development drawings ready by the end of this week. Katoma, Nixon are still further on in the program. The Lee High School project, or the new Lee High School project, the survey's been completed, and the land acquisition is still being worked out. We've got a couple of little things with the attorneys that are looking at. Should be straightened out very soon. Highland Avenue is scheduled to start the last part of the year, and Capitol Heights we expect to start at the end of the month on the design. Floyd Middle School, the design is underway, and the survey is underway. Crump, Dozier, Vaughn Road, Wares Ferry, Brubaker Primary, Danley, Fitzpatrick, Morris, South Lawn, Chisholm, and Forest are each further along in the schedule, and we'll start on those designs as we wrap up the design and get under construction on the other projects. If you'll move ahead just a little bit. This is the schematics for Flowers Elementary School. The top of the page is Harrison Road there, and the existing school is to the right. It's got a little bit of a red outline that's kind of imposed in that parking lot area, the future parking lot area. The orange or peach area there is the kitchen and cafeteria. The purple is the admin area where you would enter from that parking lot to come in to the school. The lighter green in the middle is the future gymnasium, and then the other two lighter greens is music, art, and the media center up front. The medium green, three fingers there are the main classroom wings. The first one that's closest to the kitchen and cafeteria would be the storm shelter. Next slide. Go back. This is a little bit more of a blown up version of the floor plan. You can better see the kitchen and cafeteria there on the far left, and the admin area with the main entry would be coming in right here with a secure vestibule that they would come in, be buzzed in at this point, and then buzzed in to go either into the office or into the school at that point. The gymnasium, of course, is there in the center, have 6 goals on it, and then the media center is on the far right. Next slide. This is the field house and 9th grade academy for the Carver High School project. With the 9th grade academy here Next slide. Here's a larger version of the ninth grade academy. We've got it condensed as much as we could condense it to limit the length of the corridors, to make it a little bit easier to manage. The areas there, the restrooms are here and here, where an assistant principal can easily not. Did I do that? Can easily monitor across the board right there, and then this will have a safe room in it as well. Next slide. This is the new field house with the weight room closest to me. I have outside doors where they can work, kind of garage doors on it where they can go in and out and work out outside or inside at that point. I have a kind of a study area there in the middle where the football players or the other athletes can have a place to hang out and either collaborate and learn or just hang out and stay out of trouble. And the rest of the areas are the weight room, not the weight rooms, but the locker rooms and showers and other meeting rooms. Our short-term look ahead is to continue with design and move on into the next phases of design, complete the land acquisition, and continue with surveyors and start generating bidder interest. Try to let the general contractors know and remind them that we're here and getting ready to put some projects on the streets. Again, our partners with Volkert on this program is Kemp Management Solutions, KWZ Contracting, and Pathway Research. Our current total on professional services contracts to date is $21 million, and of that $21 million, almost $10.8 million is going to MBE/DBE professional services, which equates to about 52%. Or 51%, I'm sorry. Any questions?
Questions? No, we're moving right along.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson, facilities update, please.
Good evening, members of the board, Ms. Wilson. If you'll look at your spreadsheet with me, we'll go through that. The Volker capital project we just heard from, the central office consolidation is going very well. The three-story building is the MEP is still being worked on, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. You're starting to see some of that duct work on the outside of the building, connecting the outside units to the inside units. Once those are done, they'll fire up the HVAC and then finish the interiors. The interiors are coming along well. We have the ceiling grid in on all three floors. The lighting is going in on all three floors. We have the first coat of paint. All your sheetrock finishes are done in there. Once the HVAC is fired up, that's when they'll complete the second coat of paint, the flooring, and place the ceiling tiles in the area. So we're moving well with that. There's been some movement over there. If you've been by recently with the site plan, they've upgraded the retention area on that west side over there, and they're going to get ready, get that parking lot area ready so that we can get that paved. Again, the city's going to be working with us on that paving project to help us complete that and save a little bit of funding on that. And then you've also seen a lot of the site work being worked on the east side as well. We have a roof on the east side on the top floor. We're working on the second floor. Once they uncover that, there was some decking that had a little bit of issues, a little bit of rust, and they want to seal that and get that taken care of before we put the new roof on top of that. Once we have the new roof on top of that, they'll start sealing it up and start working on putting in the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing in there. We're just trying to be very careful with the MEP on that side, with the theft that we've had and the vandalism we've had in some of that area. The new fencing that we put up has really helped with that. We're just being extra cautious so that we don't accrue any more cost to the general contractor or to us. The next area there, the BTW red light bid, I placed that in the packet this week, was under Skipper Consulting. That's the new red light proposed for Bell Road for the BTW site. Dr. Brown is working with the city and county on that to get the funding for those, but we're moving ahead with that as quickly as we can to get that in place. We've talked to them about it because some of the poles for that have a delay, but we're going to put something up temporary until the permanent poles so that we have the red lights up there in that area. The Brubaker Dozier mansard roof is moving along well now that we have all the materials in. If you've been by there recently, Dozier is just about complete, if not completed. I did not go by this Monday, but I went by last week, and they have most of that done. I went by yesterday on the Brubaker complex. They have the front parts of those entrances done so that they can work on the back parts when students come in. They tried to jump ahead and get those front parts done so that we weren't trying to do something in an area where people will be entering and exiting, so they're wrapping that one up. Again, we're experiencing delays in metal and glass and HVAC in a lot of our areas. The BTW construction over there on Bell Road is going along really well. Jade set up a deal for WSFA. If you watch that, we gave them a little insight. I really wanted them to wait until the end of this month so a lot of those finishes would be completed, and told them that we would be happy to do that again where we could actually get in the building. The day we went out there, they were working on the flooring in the hallways, the polished concrete, most of the magnet arcs and the black box theater. You've got most of your first coat of paint in there. Your ceiling grid's gone in. They have the HVAC fired up in those areas. Most of the windows are in, and we're just working on the finishes in those areas. Some of the spiral duct to the back part of the building is being installed, and that's really the main areas in that larger glass that goes in some of those areas. That's some of the delay that we're seeing, but nothing has yet affected the critical path to being done in January yet. We have not heard anything from the contractors. Again, just keeping Dr. Starks involved with that. She's just been so gracious and good with that and patient, and she just keeps continuing to tell me to make sure they do it right, and we don't want to rush anything. We want to make sure it's done complete. They've waited this long. We want to make sure it gets done appropriately and correctly in those. The Goodwin HVAC and Brewtech HVAC, we're actually got a notice to proceed on Brewtech. We have most of their equipment in, so we're going on and starting in that one. We're still on track for Goodwin for November to start in there. It is going to kind of rock their world. We've been working with Ms. Howard, the principal there at Goodwin. Their space is tight, and she's been working to free up spaces for us so that we can move in those phases and get as much done as we can along the way. This is a major project, and you're going to start seeing a facelift to the front of that school with the windows and the wall units that'll go in there, the metal panels that will really dress it up and make it look much more presentable, much more like it fits in the 2000s, not the 1950s. The logistics roof and renovation, they've been working on the inside, the structural on there on the trusses in that warehouse. We're working on a notice to proceed on the roof. Pre-construction meeting for that coming up very soon. They'll start the roofing on that. It's just long overdue. Last time it was roofed many years ago, they did not line the roof drains up, so the roof just basically drains into the building. So this is going to take care of that. This is going to get rid of a portable that's been sitting outside and is falling apart. We'll be able to remove that, and then also take care of some of the structural issues that are going on inside of that. You see several roofs there. The McKee re-roof, MLK re-roof, Fitzpatrick re-roof, Vaughn Road re-roof, Wares Ferry re-roof, and doubled up on the Vaughn Road, and then the maintenance shop re-roof. All of those, as you see, we held a pre-bid conference on 9/29 for MLK, McKee, and Fitzpatrick, and the bid opening will be 10/13, and then Vaughn Road, Wares Ferry, and maintenance. We've got those where the pre-bid was held on 10/6, We're looking for a bid opening on 10/20 for that. We have money set aside for that in ETF. We bid it out in a certain way, of course, not knowing the pricing and the volatility of those things. So we set those in kind of a priority list for us there. In case we run over budget, we could pull off of one or so of those if funds will not allow. But again, working with Mr. Watts, he makes things happen for us. We'll do our best with that as long as it fits within the budget.
Scowl over there.
The J.D. Danley roof replacement. Danley, they're on the Danley side, working on that. If you've been by there, they've got the TPO part, that polyurethane material that goes over the top. They've got it on the back portion. They're starting to work on the cafeteria portion. I checked with the architects today with the rain that we're expecting to come in to make sure we don't have anything opened up like we had at another location, and he assured me that we did not. So we're in good shape there. A little bit of decking issue on the back part of the cafeteria, but something that we've placed in there for allowances, and making sure we get that situated and taken care of. Once they finish the Danley side, they'll move. It's the same company. It was under one contract. They'll move right on over into Jeff Davis, which of course is a much larger roof and will take a while. There is a little bit of inside work on Jeff Davis. We're having to put a little bit larger roof drain in the cafeteria area. The one that was there is just not sufficient, and the engineers reworked that. We'll place that in there. We'll make sure it doesn't occur in a time where it's going to affect students or staff during the serving times. We'll probably be done on a weekend or a holiday to get that portion of that done. Any questions?
Is that all y'all are doing?
We've got a few things going on.
We do
plus
have a
our
lot of
day-to-day.
projects.
So, yeah,
Mr.
and then of course with the bulk projects as well.
Mr. Anderson, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to the re-roof work, does my memory serve me correctly? Was there not already some roof work being done at MLK?
We've been patching it over the years. That's probably what was done before. This is a total re-roof, and then we're gonna fix some drainage issue on the back. There's a portion right near the library and all that just kind of dumps in one area. They're gonna gutter that and then spread it out into the area. The architect worked on that.
So this is a total
Yes,
new-
ma'am. Totally
Okay.
redo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chad, are you gonna speak on E? Did I miss that?
Yes, I'm gonna keep going down the list.
Okay, I got
was just
you. Okay.
stopping on this facilities update if y'all have any questions.
Okay.
Spoke about on D, I spoke about the red light and tabulation, the bid tabulation there. Again, Dr. Brown is working with the city and county to get us the funding for those areas, and either way, we're moving ahead with that to get that light put into place. The E, new Robert E. Lee High School purchase and sale agreement. In May, it was given permission to the superintendent to enter negotiations for a certain amount. We were well under that amount with the negotiations. Again, like what Mr. Slater was referring to, there's a little bit of the jargon that we're working out into the contract, but we're executing that and working on finishing that. And we're going to hopefully finish up our last meeting on that tomorrow. We have an on-site area for that. They've done phase 1, they've done surveying, they've gotten most of the due diligence with that with Volkert. We feel really good about the site.
Any questions about that? I think you can keep going.
The the CMP Assistant Director
Wait,
job.
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Would you please repeat what you said about the purchase agreement?
That, back in May, the superintendent was given permission to move ahead on the execution of the contract, and we stayed under the amount that was allotted to the superintendent at that time. And Volkert has done phase 1 and survey work on that site, and we feel really good about the site moving forward.
I did too, but I'll tell you, I was contacted by
the other land that we were interested in. I was just doing the math up here, which I'm not a mathematician. In fact, it was my worst subject. Because you know, I'm gonna tell you how fast it. I didn't do well. So, but I was looking at per acre, and I know the other place we were looking was appraised at like 13 million. We're getting this for 2 million. Even at this would have been about right at the way I calculated it, 16,276 per acre, right? And the other one, the reason we didn't was the guy wanted like 90,000, and even if he was a half, we were looking at.
And our appraisal,
45.
that was his appraisal. Our appraisal was much lower than that,
Can you share with others?
about 10,000 an acre.
Ours was at 10,
That's
and he wanted like, even at half, he wanted like 45.
Well,
not
there-
even half. It was 180 was asked, and then 90 was the negotiating point.
But y'all did discuss it with him? 'Cause
Correct.
according to him, nobody actually, you know, but like looking at these numbers, I'm going like, no wonder, you know, that we did the 16.
Yes, ma'am.
First, okay. That's all I just wanted to.
I think there was
Hear the
I think there was another consideration too, and that is how this would fit, how a school would fit into where the two locations were. And the second location, the one that we have settled on, actually flows better for traffic and for everything else.
I know one of the big concerns we've had at Lee over the years with administration there is it being backed up to a neighborhood and being so large. That was one of the things that we considered in it as well. You know, if you, like, again, with looking at Capitol Heights to go in there, you're talking about a much, much smaller school and much more property that you can isolate better, and that we can put some barriers up between the neighborhood and the school with a much smaller footprint.
The other thing that was brought up this point was that I just want to know, on this contract, if the other lane had the utilities kind of up against, is this the same situation, or as far as the, you know?
There will be, it'll be ready for that. That's the way the people that developed that property had it set up, and then, of course, it's right there on that frontage of the boulevard. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay, we can move on to C&P.
Yes, ma'am. The CMP Assistant Director job description and salary schedule. We worked with HR and finance on this. This is something that's very much needed in CMP. Other districts of our size or even a little bit smaller, when considering like Jefferson County and Birmingham City Schools, have an assistant director. We feel like this will really help Ms. Beard stay on top of things. She's actually having to go out and work in schools herself and not being able to do all of her director duties to the fullest of the way she would like to do it. This will not affect the general fund. It will come from CMP funding, which is from reimbursable, and just want to give her a praise. They had a fantastic turn-in this month, over $2 million for reimbursable. That's more than double what they typically do in a month, and that's just some of the changes she's been able to put in place with menus and such.
Great. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Anderson.
And then I was gonna, if I may, skip down to K.
Sure.
With the Centos Facility Solution Agreement, Purchase Service Agreement. That's something that Logistics and Mr. Rudolph have been working on together with Centos. We currently, the way we were doing our mops and dust brooms was to bring those in-house there to the logistics warehouse, wash and dry them. I know in my 4 years of being here, a little more than 4 years, we've had 2 fires out there in logistics with that. That's due to the chemicals that are in those mops and all, and it's another piece of work that we're already understaffed with for logistics to maintain. So with this agreement, we feel like it's going to be very cost effective. Will actually save us money in the long run, where Centos will pick up those dust mops and the mop heads and the dust mops and deliver those out to the schools. So that's less gas on us. That's less maintenance for where we're having to wash and clean those others, and less logistical time moving those in and out. So.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Mitchell, Nearpod.
Good evening, Board Chair, Board members, Chief of Staff Wilson. Present and receive as information for the approval of an agreement with Nearpod. Nearpod provides inquiry-based, standards-aligned, interactive lessons for all K-12 subject areas. There's a video and activity participation with it in the library with live teaching and co-teaching. It's with ESSA funds, ESSA 3 funds, for a cost of $117,000. Are there any questions?
No, sir, thank you. Mr. Watts. I know I don't see a scowl now.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. You should have before you the financial statement for the month of August, which represents the 11th month of the fiscal year, which is about 91.67% of the fiscal year. Of course, August, we have one month remaining in the fiscal year. Of course, we close as of September 30th, in which I'll do that report next month. What contained in the financial statement will be the explanation of financial data, which are a brief synopsis of the CSFO about the financial conditions and position of the school district, a snapshot analysis, which is a quick overview of the district's position, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Our monthly budget percentages, again, is 91.67%, would represent 11th out of the 12th month. Monthly and annual comparative statement of revenues and expenditures, or our monthly and annual revenues and expenditures compared to the prior year. A statement of cash flow, basically our cash received and our cash paid for the fiscal year. There's a pie chart, which is basically a chart of our cash received and cash paid for the fiscal year. Combined statements of combined financial statements, which is our combined balance sheet, and the combined statements of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, which is basically our income statement. In tab 2, Madam President, we would note that as of August of 2022, we have revenues of about $229 million in our general fund, expenditures of about $202 million, ending fund balance as of August of about $88.5 million. Again, we are projecting to end fiscal year 2022 with over $70 million. And of course, we are projecting to have more than 3 months reserved by the end of the fiscal year. And that would be inclusive of our setting aside about $6 million for the finishing up of the central office, along with setting up more of a replacement account, a capital replacement account for HVAC, roofing, and those kinds of things. We're ending the year, well, on the month of August, our expenditures is about 84%, and again, in any other given month, it'll be about 91.67%, so we are well below our budgeted expenditures. We also would note that our taxes that came in for the month of August, about $3.1 million compared to about $2.9 million the prior fiscal year. Again, our fund balance is about $88.5 million compared to about $57.4 million of August of 2021. Madam President, if I could just briefly just kind of talk about projected financial conditions coming up. I guess the remainder of this fiscal year along with next year. We all know that inflation, we hear about inflation that's going on right now. The cost of goods or services are up. I'm sure many of you all go to the grocery store, you go to the various stores, and you see that you're spending more monies on goods and services at this particular time. There's a lot of money out there is one of the reasons for that. As we know, we get the ESSER monies are out there. There's just a lot of money out on the street. Therefore, there's a lot of demand out in the economy. Usually when there's a lot of demand, that usually drive prices up, cause an increase in prices. When everybody is demanding goods or services, vendors are going to increase prices on those goods or services. As we know, the Fed have been raising interest rates in an effort to slow down the growth. In fact, I think they raised interest rates about 75 basis points last month. We believe that they probably will continue to raise interest rates in an effort to kind of slow down inflation. While they're doing that, there's a good chance that at some point that we're probably going to see a recession. And that I would say that probably would happen in the next several months in an effort to slow down all of the spending that's going on. Now, when the recession happens, then things reverse and go the other way, where you see possible layoffs and several other different things that takes place. I believe that Montgomery Public Schools is well positioned regardless of the impact, the economic impact of the economy. We're well positioned and we'll be able to handle and sustain pretty much any type of market change. What we are very, very noticeable are the things that are going on right now. We are embracing ourselves for a potential recession at some particular point over next year. But I believe we'll be okay. The only thing that I'm really, really concerned about right now is construction costs. If inflation continues, and if we have to put bids out on the streets, then that means that those contractors, they have to bid at a higher rate because they have to, be able to pay employees at this higher rate. They're purchasing services and goods at a higher rate, so that's a concern of mine. Now, if the market turn around and we start heading the other way towards that recession, then of course it'll level off some. So it's just a matter of when that takes place. It's very, very seldom, as the Fed is raising interest rates, it's very seldom that they get it just right, where you're not facing either inflation or a recession. Very seldom. Usually it's going to be one or the other. And so we're more so bracing at some point for a recession. Of course, that would drive prices down because the demands would go down. But if that doesn't happen and the inflation continues, then I am really concerned about the construction costs. And of course, we have been talking with our program managers, Volker, about that. But otherwise, as it relates to our general fund and our general operations, we believe that we're well positioned to sustain any type of changes in the economic conditions of the school district. Madam President.
I have a question. And you may not be able to answer this. I might have needed to ask this to Bernard, but I'm looking here that you have $100 million in ESSER funds.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you say that it's being spent on is instructional interventions. Do we have anything in place to tell if these instructional interventions are effective for accountability? I'd like to know, are these interventions working? Because if you look at our failure rate and stuff like that, if we just keep staying year to year this way, but we keep implementing the interventions, yet we don't see any accountability as to what those interventions are doing, is there anything in place? Because if there isn't, there needs to be.
Yes, I'll have to kind of submit to the instructional folks to help me with that one.
We have a data warehouse called LIMS, and who can do it, and both can look at that and analyze where we are. We got Brown Approval Card, we want to present that to you all in the coming months. You can see exactly where we are.
I wish you did that soon, because I don't know if I'm gonna be back or not. So, and I've always wanted to know, what the intervention looks like. So if you could.
I will just say that the superintendent is doing an academic audit, and we'll be able to know exactly where we are, where we need to reinvest or redirect our funds to make sure that we're making a difference for our students.
Okay, any other questions? My only comment is that 84% on expenditures means you're minding the penny bank and making sure we do things correctly.
Yes, ma'am, we're feeling really good with where we are now.
Are you gonna talk about the, updated substitute before you leave?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, I had presented several months ago a recommendation about increasing the substitute rate. As you know, it's extremely difficult for us to find substitutes now, mainly because the other school districts, they're paying a higher rate than we are, and so it's making it extremely difficult for us to staff our schools when employees are absent. So we're recommending that we pay a regular substitute rate at $100 per day, long-term substitute rate at $155 per day, and of course, we know all of our long-term subs are degreed. Long-term substitute assistant principals at $225 per day. And we usually don't have many of those during the year, nor do we have many long-term substitute principals during the year. And we're recommending an amount of $300 per day for long-term substitute principals. And there's also one correction that we have on there. It's the $20 per hour for the hourly secretary. $20.20.
Any questions on this?
I know you said all the long-term principals were degreed. I thought there was a policy change on the regular substitutes, that they had to have some kind of, either be in school, be in college or something. Is that not true?
On regular substitutes?
On regular substitutes. That's
Is
just
HR?
anybody? What was it? That's not, so they can just be anybody.
No, he was asking was HR.
Well, I was gonna let HR answer that question.
I could swear that when I was up here about a month ago, somebody told me to be a substitute.
There's training they have to complete.
Okay.
I don't know that involved in this kind of program.
Okay.
But as I stated, long-term substitutes, we are requiring them to be degreed.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Watts. And Dr. Williamson, lead behavior specialist position.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. We are proposing that we shift 2 of our positions within our behavioral support model so that they are 12-month positions versus 9-month positions. That is one on the special education side, which is a behavior specialist that has expertise in evaluating behavior and developing plans of support around that behavior, as well as one on the gen ed side, which all of those behavior coaches are actual counselors. We want to continue to be more proactive with how we support children when they have behavioral needs, how we are responsive as children have come back with different needs after the pandemic, and then by having one of each for the entire year, that allows us to collaborate differently as we've had to expand our behavioral supports through the summer with summer school, as well as how we provide professional development for our staff. Both of these will come from the already established funds. So for the behavior specialist out of special education, that will continue to be out of IDEA. And for our behavior coaches, we pay for that as a district out of our at-risk funds.
Okay, questions? Thank you, ma'am. All right, the last item on our agenda is, I need some hands raised to, volunteer to be the AASB delegate at the upcoming, convention. Now, what I would suggest, because there will be different seats, is that we do it by district. So is there, who all would like to be, let's start with who would like to be. Erica? Okay. Who
Do
else?
we know who's already attending? Because we have,
That's why I've suggested we do it by district, because I'll raise my hand for District 2, who, the District 2.
Isn't this in December?
It is in December, for the district, not for me, but for the district. So, and you can raise your hand for District 1? Yeah, are you 1? Yeah. We need 5 delegates and 1 alternate. Yeah, so, okay. Okay, Claudia as an alternate, Erica as a delegate. Okay, Cassandra.
And Brenda as a delegate.
You can put District 1 in.
All right, and District 2. So we now have our delegates. Thank you.
Before you go on, I just want to bring it up. This November, I'm going to bring. I've said it to you already. November 8th is election night.
Right.
We've never had a board meeting on an election night.
Okay, we will talk. We can talk about when we will do it. That right
I mean,
now it's
fine with me,
scheduled.
but I just thought it was kind of strange. Even a week early might be better.
Okay, well, that's the schedule, but we can talk about it and that can be adjusted. In that case, this meeting is adjourned, and I will call to order our regular board meeting, and we still have a quorum. Can we get an approval of the agenda, please?
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor with a show of hands? Okay. And as usual, I'd like to start with some of the great things happening in our district. First, I want to mention that it was a very exciting opportunity. We had Admiral Christopher W. Grady, who's the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, visited one of our schools. They were at Floyd Middle to observe the STEM challenge at the school, and the students did an amazing job. Next, I want to mention an event where we received an incredible amount of community support, and that is at the $1 Million March at Lanier High School. We had so many people, men showed up to greet our students and give them encouragement. It was heartwarming. I also want to mention some good news for Children's Center, which received a $3,000 Whole Kids Foundation garden grant to improve and expand its school garden with edible plants. And then finally, it was again time for the announcement of National Merit Semi-Finalists, and this year LAMP had 17 students receive this prestigious distinction, which is the highest number LAMP has had in several years and one of the highest in the state. And I would like to tell you who these students were, because this is a real accomplishment for them. Annabelle Baker, Jim Ka, Youngju Che, Huan Min Choi, Kathleen Doyle, Kathleen Druin, Ann Malgard, Yi Yin Han, Wyatt Hartzog, Bokeem Young, Pia Young, Yi Chan Kim, Jeff Kwan, Lee Jordan, Kang Yu Park, Landon Perdue, and Lily Poling. And I think they definitely deserve a round of applause. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jade.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Madam President, Ms. Ms. Wilson, and board members. Tonight, I want to take a moment to highlight our MPS principals. As you all know, October is Principal Appreciation Month. So on social media, we have created a MPS Principal Appreciation campaign where we're running a advertisement with their photo and then a quote that means a lot to them. I think as a district, we sometimes just assume that principals get in there and get it done, but we would like to say thank you to all of our principals. And for those watching and here in the audience, please go to our official Facebook page and reshare those content blocks that we have for our principals. They do an outstanding job throughout the year, and for that, I'm extremely grateful, and I know everyone here in this room is. So they deserve a round of applause. I didn't pull them out tonight, but I'll have something else up my sleeve later on in the year. So there we go. Now, Madam President, yet again, I get to brag on you all. And once again, in my hand, I have certificates for a few of you. And these certificates are highlighting your academy achievements for the 2022 AASB school year. And I'll read off quickly. Miss Cassandra Brown, she has completed levels 2 and 3 in the academy. So let's give her a round of applause. Dr. Brenda Coleman has completed level 4, and she will receive a plaque later on in December. So let's give her a round of applause. Miss Claudia Mitchell also completed level 4 of the academy and will receive a plaque as well. Miss Claire Will, Madam Chair, also completed level 4, and you will receive your plaque. And then Miss Erica Smith has completed master level first year, so you will get a special plaque as well. So I am looking forward to you all picking up those plaques. I believe you'll get those on December 3rd. Ms. Hart will have more information about that, but I have here your certificates, and yes, I'm gonna have you to get up and take a photo, so thank you. Scott?
Do you want us to stand up now?
Yes, please, in front of the, oh, Liz, I don't have your certificates in here. We'll just have you all take a group photo. It's always great for a photo, right? Kodak moment. Ms. Wilson, you can join. A group photo. I can never get enough of it. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. You may have left the certificates upstairs. So you'll get those plaques.
I'm the dummy.
Wait, hold on. Dr. Keith, join the fun, please. Yep, just because we're having fun tonight. Ms. Wilson, too. Yep. And that'll do it.
Try not to leave just yet. Okay. We now have some scheduled public comments. Let me read the rules real quickly. Public comments requests must be made in advance in writing to the superintendent's office by 4:30 on the Tuesday preceding the meeting date. Requests must have specified the nature of the business to be taken up with the board, the name of the person who will address the board to be added to the agenda. Communications must be respectful. Discussing specific student or employee matters will not be allowed. Individuals who have concerns that are inappropriate to be solved in this venue are welcome to seek a problem-solving meeting with the superintendent. Immediate feedback by the board may not be provided. However, you may be contacted for follow-up by the superintendent or his designee. Public comments may not exceed 3 minutes. The board chairman has full authority to terminate the remarks of any person whose comments contain personal attacks, exceed the time limit, or are otherwise inappropriate. A speaker may be considered disruptive who continues to speak when their allotted time is ended, when asked to stop speaking by the board chairman, or is otherwise inappropriate. If a person fails to comply when asked to terminate comments, he or she will be escorted to their seat, out of the auditorium, and or off of MPS property, depending on the level of disruption. And our first person tonight to speak will be Ms. Phaedra Foster on National Standards for Family School Partnerships.
Hello, board members. How are you tonight? I'm excited to announce that our county council PTA has been awarded one of 10 grants from the National PTA. 5 of the grantees were state PTAs and the 5 were county councils. So if you go to the National PTA website, you will see that Montgomery, Alabama is listed among the councils who received this grant from National PTA partner Go Guardian. The national standards are essentially the bar that many local educational agencies and other partners use to establish family school partnership guidelines for their districts. And so we are excited about this, especially since November is National Family Parent Involvement Month, since we're celebrating Principal Involvement Month this month. On November the 17th, there will be a national town hall meeting for districts all across the country where we will announce the brand new national 6 standards for successful family school partnerships. So I'm really excited about the fact that we have this grant, particularly since this kind of follows up with some of the work that we did with our Culture and Climate Committee, where we talked about shifting from a more fortress system to a partnership system. So I'm excited. I think that this is an exciting way for us to, continue to evolve with the rest of the country. And thank you for the time to make this announcement.
May I ask a question? How are you going to use these funds?
Well, the funds are going to, right now what we're doing is we have to go through a training with the National PTA because the new standards have not been announced. We have gotten half of our funds up front. We've been encouraged to use part of them to promote some of our regular programming because many of the PTAs took a big hit during the pandemic. So a very small portion of it is going to go to us being able to return our Reflections program. This will be our first year to do it in public in several years. We will be at the Museum of Fine Arts on March the 3rd. We already know that. But what we're planning to do is to use the funds primarily to encourage our PTA parents to go through some of the Thrive training, which really explains how to do successful family school partnerships and kind of incentivize that. And then that second half of the funding we should be able to use to implement the plans that our units themselves have come up with. But part of it is, of course, you're our first partners, right? And then we're going to reach out to other governmental entities to form a partnership with them.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Galliard, I don't see him here tonight. Oh, okay. Mr. Galliard? Okay, all right. In that case, we will move on. Jamie, are you gonna recommend for the superintendent?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. I recommend the board approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the consent agenda.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor with a show of hands? And that is unanimous. Jamie?
I recommend the board approve the personnel report certified personnel.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation for a personnel report, certified personnel.
I second it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor with a show of hands? That's unanimous.
I recommend the board approve the personnel report, classified personnel.
Madam
Madam President, I recommend that we accept the superintendent's report for classified personnel.
I second it.
Okay, discussion? All in favor with a show of hands? And, Jamie, one
I
more.
recommend the board approve the personnel report teams.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the personnel report teams.
Okay,
I second.
discussion? All in favor with a show of hands? And that is unanimous. We are scheduled for our next meeting, and as has been pointed out, November 8th is Election Day. I think we'll visit that and see. It should be right here in central office, and with that, we are adjourned.